Hi, this is an introduction to CueCam Presenter for Ecamm Live and Keynote users. Ecamm Live and Keynote are a great way to go beyond a plain webcam or shared screen when presenting remotely, but it can be complicated to set up and you have to switch between multiple apps throughout your talk, with different Ecamm scenes and slides in your Keynote presentation. Keynote slides can include a live webcam feed, and you can bring everything back into Ecamm as a screen share, but this can also introduce some lag that might be inconsistent between Ecamm and then when you're doing the round trip from the desktop. You can use a Stream Deck to make things easier than a mouse and keyboard, letting you build muscle memory, but you can still end up having to learn a lot of different buttons. And Keynote wasn't really designed for remote presentations. It was made for presenting to people in a room on a TV or projector. It gives you a lot of rich design tools and makes Apple's amazing presentations possible, but to get to that level takes a professional designer and a lot of iteration on the content. When you're on your own, it's easy to make sort of ugly presentations, and it's a lot of overhead to get it right. And while Keynote does give you speaker notes, and they can show on your phone as well, you're going to be looking down at them if you want to use them, if you haven't learned them. But when you're on a webcam, you can use a teleprompter, which means that you don't have to learn every word of your script and you'll still look well prepared. I think you can get better results if you think less, I'm doing an Apple Keynote in a room, and more, like I'm a newsreader. I'm sort of putting a few things on screen, to sort of illustrate a point, and I'm keeping that quite simple. It's text and it's a graphic, and I'm moving through those as I speak. So our goals are, 1, to focus on content. So instead of editing slides, you want to plan what you're going to say, like the words, what you're going to say, or like what are the beats you want to hit, what are the things you want to land on. And you can be as specific or as loose with that as you want, but really you want to be focusing on what you're saying. And then when you do put something on the screen, you want it to illustrate and emphasize what you're saying without making you disappear into the background or behind like a cloud of text. And we want simple navigation, so we don't want to have to think about switching between different apps. We want to run through a talk with just one button, really. And that's what CueCam gives you. So where do we start? Well, David Abramowitz was kind enough to share some content with me, so I'm going to be sort of like using that as a reference point. Here he is giving a talk about air tags. He used a combination of Ecamm, Keynote, and CueCam to navigate through this presentation. So CueCam powered the teleprompter and triggered the different Ecamm scenes, and then sometimes he'd drop into a Keynote screen share, but he wasn't really getting the most out of CueCam. And you can see here, here's what that script looks like. We've got quite a lot on these cards, and then on the top right of each card you see the Ecamm scene that's going to be triggered. So he's sort of like doing the main camera and then going on to Keynote and then showing a load of stuff. So this isn't really, this is one way you can do it, but it still involves a bit of context switching. And he was able to navigate with one button through the script and then jump over to the right places, but there are two main problems with this. Initially, you can navigate through the script with a Stream Deck button, but then once you're on the Keynote scene, you need to navigate Keynote instead, and this creates some mental overhead, and now the content exists in actually like 3 different places. So you've got your content dispersed across your computer. You've got a script in CueCam, you've got slides in Keynote, and you've got videos attached to Ecamm scenes. So to do the same talk, you can probably get it working if you're just doing a one-off. But if you think about it in terms of wanting to do that talk again in a couple of months, say, now you need to look for both presentations and hope that you didn't sort of disrupt your Ecamm scenes in the meantime, like put a different video on one of those scenes. Or like you had make sure you've saved a profile, but then if you do tweak something, now you've got to like update all your profiles. It's annoying for you in the future, and it might not even be feasible if you want someone else to be able to deliver your presentation. And that might not be your goal, but you've just got to think it's a lot of like bits and pieces sort of loosely coupled there. Luckily, we can get a pretty good version of the presentation entirely within CueCam, which has its own virtual camera and microphone, which you can plug into a single Ecamm scene or even directly into Zoom. So the first thing we need to understand to get the most out of CueCam is cue cards. And something I noticed about David's script is that he has, big cue cards with a lot of text. But you need to think about it more like this, sort of lots of cue cards, but not too much on them. And I'd love to be able to get this sort of, like the multicolored things on the cue cards. And maybe in future we can start doing that. But The idea is you've got a card, and then you've got the next card, and the next card, and the next card, and we make it very easy to sort of, swipe through all those different cards, which, is sort of a different thing to this. So let's start by having a look at, just so we know where we are, we'll have a quick look at David's keynote as well. So he had sort of some reveals. I guess I can like play these. So we see there's a sort of reveal with some bullet points revealing, and then it sort of reveals the next one. It's pretty cute. And my main issue with this in terms of having a presentation is, for a start, you're getting sort of squeezed into this tiny box on the edge of the screen by the end of the presentation. And then, like, by the time you're talking about, this, why do you still need this on screen? Like, we need to turn this, where we've put built everything up onto one big slide. We just want to kind of like run through these titles as we go, instead of like putting them all on screen at once. So this is sort of what I'm thinking about. And then finally, we've got a couple of videos here that he used. So he sent me the videos, so we can sort of use these as a reference point for when we sort of have a go at building up our own version of this script. So let's start with a tour of CueCam's interface, starting with the landing screen. So this is the first thing you see when you launch CueCam. You wouldn't have anything here to start with, but you've got an option to create a blank script, generate a script with ChatGPT, or use the live camera, and then the live camera gives you your live camera preview here. So this is the camera preview, and then over here is the dashboard, which I will talk about in a little bit. So if I show you an example document, and this is one that was generated for me by ChatGPT, and I added a couple of things. Let's just have a look at what you're going to see in CueCam, and try not to get... I sort of want you to be able to see the video, but also be aware that this is a different camera on a different computer, so it's going to be weird. But I just want you to sort of understand that these are you're going to see yourself there when you're editing. But what have we got? So we've got your script is over here, your preview is over here. We've got a sort of big pink button that lets you play things. You've got the ability to, control your connected devices and find Video Pencil, and you've got some card editing stuff here. But I will go through that now. So to start off with, we've got cards. So this is a cue card, and on this card we have, this is the text that's going to appear in the teleprompter. So this is just what you're going to see. This is what my speaker notes are going to look like. Anything that's highlighted is going to show up on the card. So you see, welcome educators. This is a talk. So that's content that's going to appear on the card, highlighted in pink, so you can see at a glance how much text you've got on there. And then the image in the same way, if we deleted that would disappear, undo, put that back. And then anything that's attached to that card lives up here. So here we've got that image attached, and if we click here, we can sort of do things to that image. If we are sharing a screen, we can kind of add that or remove it. And then if we were sharing other things, triggers, whatever, there's a lot of different things you can add. And in fact, I'll just show you that here. Here you've got a drop down here, and you've got all these different types of things that you can sort of attach to that card, triggers, different types of text, different slides, different videos, second cameras, all this kind of thing, music. So this is sort of all the different things you can attach to a card. And then on the right hand side, you've got your preview area. And this shows you your camera preview. So this sort of gives you an idea of what you're going to have. And then up here, you've got your slide layout thing. And if you just click on here, you're going to see all the different types of cool things you can do. This is sort of what I usually use CueCam for. So all the different things. So just me and the teleprompter, titles and icons, bullets, picture and title, multiple pictures. You might have a photo in the background. You might have some bullets on top of a background. You might have a video background. You can share your screen, share an app, share a window, share a website, share a second camera. So the idea is each one of those, you can attach it to a card, and then as you're going through your script, go, okay, we're going to go and share this second camera now, do some stuff, switch back to something else, share something else. The next thing we have up here at the top is, this is how you sort of access your teleprompter window, and then the camera that's connected is currently Shoot, so Shoot has all of the controls for Shoot in that drop down, and then Video Pencil gives you, shows you the Video Pencil connected. So if you do have Video Pencil, all you've got to do to use Video Pencil with CueCam is just launch it on the iPad. It will automatically connect to CueCam, and you can do your laser pointer, you can do your magic wand. In fact, if you do the magic wand, it's even going to bring the sound into CueCam automatically. So when we do this, you can hear that. Now, the teleprompter, just a bit more on the teleprompter. So if we click here, we see the teleprompter window. So what can we do? Let's make this big. You've got your text that you can have here. You can make that bigger if you want. You can make this wider or narrower depending on sort of what you want that to look like. So usually this would be a bit smaller when it's on sort of an Elgato prompter, as mine is. And also up here, you see you've got a drop down, so you can either show your virtual camera, or you can show a transparent window and just put another window behind it, or you can actually select any other window on your Mac. And if that window is sort of visible, let's just make sure that window is showing something. We're going to be able to sort of share whatever is in any other window on your computer. So like this is a really easy way to bring in Zoom into your presentation. Next, we've got the big pink button. Basically, the pink button here, this is, in theory, this is the only button you're going to need, right? This is how you start your presentation. This is how you go next. This is how you go next. You should be able to basically you can run a talk in CueCam with 2 buttons. You just need your aside 3D button so you can move quickly out the way, and you need your next button so you can navigate to the next slide of your presentation. So, and then what the only other thing is, we have our sidebars. So if you click up here, you've got a sidebar with all your image thumbnails, and you can sort of make that bigger and smaller. And on the other side, you have got your document information. So this will be expanding soon. Card editing, so any sort of extra stuff about anything that's on here. And we've got the dashboard. Now the dashboard is really important. This is where you kind of set up all your microphone and camera stuff. So as soon as you press start on a presentation, your dashboard is going to pop out, because the main thing you need to do is select a main camera. And so you see I'm using Shoot on my iPhone as my main camera right now. And you choose your main microphone. So I'm not actually using a microphone on this, but you'll select your microphone and then you'll see the output there. And then also on the dashboard. So these are the things that you have to select. And then you've got the ability to instantly share your desktop with this button here. It's you can instantly share your desktop. You can instantly add some text. And if you are sharing something, you can hit this aside 3D button, and that does this thing. So if you can see that dashboard in the sidebar, or if you're anywhere else on your computer, that will be in this menu up here, and you can access your dashboard. So if you weren't currently looking at CueCam, if you only had one screen or something, you could always get to that stuff, including the big pink button, just from the menu there. And just another note on the teleprompter window, if you don't have a teleprompter to drag a window into, you can just use Shoot on your phone. Shoot will turn your phone into a webcam. It will with full manual controls, unlike something like Continuity Camera, and it will give you a teleprompter, and it will be your program feed. So in the same way that you can select your Zoom window in that teleprompter window, you can also send that out to Shoot. So you can just have your phone screen sort of above your laptop or whatever, eye level. It can be your teleprompter, it can be everything else, and then you can sort of see your program feed there as you're going, and that works really well. And that, if you don't have a Stream Deck, the iPad has navigation controls, and I can toggle aside from my iPad, and I can go to my next slide from my iPad, and then sort of start doing other stuff on the iPad. So this is really good for a compact setup. Let's sort of talk about some of the things you might want to do in CueCam. So the first thing is, how do you change layouts? So the simplest way is, say we've got this left layout here, we can sort of try some different layouts. Say we wanted that icon to be small down there. Say we wanted, we can sort of have some different basic layouts here, but what we can also do is go into the card, and there are some sort of alignment and light text and dark text options up there. So if I just select some different options, we can have that on one side, we can have it on the other side, we can have it at the top, we can have it at the bottom. So that's how that works, and we can change the text from light to dark. How do you add text? So text editing in CueCam, I really want you to be able to focus on writing your script when you're using CueCam. And so to add a card, you can, sort of click above or below a card to add a new card. You can start typing, to just add your speaker notes. You can press enter. Like if you press enter a couple of times, it will create another card below. Right, so we can quickly do a lot of text editing, and you can copy and paste and do all those kinds of normal things. You can right click on the cards and duplicate and different sorts of things there. And then if you want to add titles, you can go up here. You can either sort of select a layout from here and say, okay, I think I want this to be have a speaker and an icon, and then now you can just sort of edit that text, and now that's going to be sort of updated over here. You can also just type things. This is title, and if I want to change the size of it, I can add another hash. By the way, that's option 3 is to put a hash in, or we can have a quote, like a quotation, and maybe I should I just want you to be able to see the cards, but I also want you to be able to see what's going in. We can have different things, but if you don't want to remember all that, you can just go into this plus and you can scroll to find all the different things you can add. So you can add an image, you can add a bullet, hello, right? And when you're adding bullet points, we've got this baby. And then just to remove an image, you can either click on it, click on that picture and say remove it, or move it to the background, or you can just delete the text and that's going to disappear straight away. So it's easy to sort of copy and paste that stuff between cards. Bullet points are kind of cool in CueCam, because so if we sort of were to start, oh, by the way, on these cards, if you just click this little triangle, that's going to start playing from this point, and you see we see, oh yeah, it's sending it to my iPhone at the moment. So maybe if I just turn off the phone and disconnect, we can so we can see what our speaker notes are going to look like up there. But what we can do is we can, if we've got 3 bullet points, they're going to appear each time we press next. The next bullet point is going to appear, and you see what's going to happen each time. So next bullet, next card. So I can go backwards with the little back arrow, but yeah, it's like next bullet, and so that's how you sort of reveal your text as you go. Let's make this a bit bigger. Let's make this a title, bullet 1. And then something I just did, which I probably shouldn't get too carried away, but if you put something in brackets, these are my speaker notes. You see that the this stays as just the plain bullet, but when we land on this in our speaker notes and we are on bullet 1, you're going to see the notes for this, and then when you go to bullet 2, you're going to see the notes for this one. So it's really handy for kind of keeping on point and knowing which bullet point, because it may be behind your camera. How to add pictures, right? So you can add a picture either by going, sort of selecting one of the things that's got a picture. So this one's got 2, and then you can just come down here and click on the picture and replace that with anything else that's on your computer. Or you can just, everything's pretty drag and drop as well. So if we did have a picture, here is a screenshot that I have. I can just drag that onto the card, and then that is going to be straight on there. And watch out, because the lower third layout's like that, but if we go left, right, we can put that where we want it. And you can drag pictures on, or you can add them like this. So add a background image as well. So if you just wanted a large image in the background, like I need some nice pictures. If you wanted this to be your background, for example, just open that, and then that can become your background. And then to remove them, just remove. You can remove and just remove them like that. You can also add videos in a similar way. So either sort of select, a slide with a movie, and sort of when you do have a video on there, you're going to see the preview of that. So we're currently presenting, so let's just have a look, and you can sort of have a look at this, and you've got all your video controls over here. So you can say, do I want it to, do I want the video to be muted? What do I have loud? Do I want it to be? What do I want to happen when it's finished? You can trim it so that it's sort of like only sort of the middle of it. You can trim, and then you can change the playback speed. You can change the opacity if you want. If you want to be sort of behind it, I only really use that for a countdown timer. So you can add videos into these cards, and they will sort of play when you start on the card. And similarly, you can sort of take a video. If you already had your video, if you had it here, you could just select that, go replace, and we can go to our take one of these, and it will convert it and store that in the document. So this is now like included in the document, and it's compressed to HEVC. Now, if you do have like a larger file, or you don't want it to convert, you can just I think there was a longer video. Where was it? AirTags setup. Yeah, so here's a video. So you can just drag the video on and it will convert. But if that's taking a while, we can also drag that on. If you hold Alt, or Option, then it gives you the option to either leave it where it is on your computer. You can embed it without converting it, or you can sort of convert it and embed it. So if I embed without converting, that's just going to be dropped into my project. When I play it, that's just going to play. And of course, with a video, we do have this little picture-in-picture area as well. So like currently I'm sort of in my picture. So if you have a green screen, it will be the way I'm showing you now. But if you don't, then you'll just be in a circle in the corner like that, down there. I've turned off the camera so you can't see that anymore. But you have your video controls up here, so you can sort of scan through that, pause it, do whatever you're going to do there, all that stuff that you can do with videos, just to sort of put them directly into your deck. To share your screen works similarly. So if you want to do a screen share, the simplest thing is just select it up here. Let's share my screen. And the way CueCam works is it sort of has a concept of your, so we're going to get feedback here, of your sort of default desktop. So if you have more than one screen, it's going to sort of remember your preference for which screen you want to use. To remove that, just click there, remove that. But you can also share just a window. So if you were to share one app, we can actually select, Alt Tab to the app we want, click on the app, and now we are sharing the Keynote, so we're sharing that Keynote screen, even though it's sort of in the background, and it's not showing anything else of our desktop. We were just able to select that, and now when we come here, we're here. When we're here, it's going to share that Keynote screen. So you can add all these screen shares to the cards, and that can be really powerful as well. Same thing with a second camera. Any camera is connected to your computer. I'm going to show up here, so let's use the OBS virtual camera. So now when we come onto this card, so if I press play here, I'm now sharing my virtual camera. I'm picture-in-picture down here, and I can sort of come back with Keynote. I can come to my OBS camera or whatever. I can come back to my video. I can sort of show my slide with my pictures, and that's all the different things. So how would I change David's presentation? Well, let's have a look at it. What I would do is, the first thing is I would just break these cards up into much smaller cards. And so, the way I do that is just sort of have a look. First up, what is this thing? So, I know on his Keynote he's got what is it? So why not just have what is an AirTag, stick that on the screen, and then maybe as many notes as we want here, and then just sort of select the rest of that card. By the way, I did Command. I'm too keyboard shortcutty. I'll just cut that out, add another card underneath and paste it in, and just sort of like work through that. So we're going, what's an AirTag? Just all the different things I would just break up across onto different cards. Instead of switching to a scene in Ecamm with the AirTag radar on it, we can sort of get rid of that and just go, drag that video in. So where is it? AirTag radar. Drop that onto the card, and now on this card we're showing that, and we can be picture in picture. And just remember, like, you're not stuck on the background. You can always just sort of like pop out the way with a side 3D as well while you're talking, if you and you can sort of like draw things, sketch something up, and then just sort of come back into your thing, like draw on that, do all those things as you're talking. And yeah, generally I would just sort of get all the scene switching out of there and just sort of like put all the content on these cards, save the document, ditch the Keynote document, have like one scene in Ecamm. I mean, the way I use scenes in Ecamm now is all my content stuff is in CueCam, and then I have like the stuff that is live stream specific. So I have like I have like a countdown screen in Ecamm, but I actually don't, like, because CueCam has a nice countdown, but I have like the microphone is muted for the countdown, and then I've got a scene where some music starts playing that I don't want to come through my virtual mic because it's sort of a separate. I still want to be able to talk on the virtual mic to other people on Zoom because I've got two things going on, and then interview mode stuff. So if I'm having guests on, I will sort of switch to the scenes and do a little bit of switching between different guests in Ecamm. But like, I will not have any scenes with a video in them or a screen share or titles or like anything like that, because that, you're just going to start to blow Ecamm with loads and loads of different scenes. Sharing another camera, like I wouldn't have a scene to switch cameras or picture in picture. I would just like share a different camera in CueCam and like have that on the card. I would just have Ecamm as just a super simple couple of scenes to keep that to a minimum, instead of having to sort of like store all your content in there. It's not really a good place for content. CueCam's where you put content. So I hope that gives you a good feel for how to get around CueCam Presenter. You can get CueCam for free. Give it a go from CueCam-presenter.com. You don't need to do anything to download it and play with it and to use basically all the features. The only limitation is you only get 3 cards, and then it sort of says, no, you can't have any more cards for now. Everything else you can use. So if you want to connect to Video Pencil, if you want to connect to Shoot, you can just do that, like, without any other stuff. Again, like, you don't need to set up all that layering in Ecamm. CueCam just handles all of that Video Pencil stuff. Like, you don't need to do NDI or anything like that. All you need is your iPad and your Mac and CueCam, and it's just going to deal with all that for you without you having to do anything. If you start a subscription, you get full access to Shoot, full access to Video Pencil. It takes all the watermarks off if you have that license. If you already bought one of them, it gives you a discount as well. But yeah, these things work as a combination of things. It's just greater than the sum of its parts if you do have an iPhone and an iPad as well as your Mac. So you can get that now. CueCam, this is version 2.0. That's available for free from CueCam-presenter.com. You can try it right now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.